Hey there, welcome back to another video. My name is Amber Melanie Smith. I wanted to try out a change of scenery for this video, so hopefully you can't hear a very loud lawnmower that's outside right now. But anyway, today in this video I wanted to talk about something that's really near and dear to my heart, and that is finding your purpose. I really love this topic because it's so universal. Everyone is trying to figure out, why am I here? What is my reason for being on this planet? And myself, and I know many others who feel the same way, always have been drawn to activities and efforts that help people, that can create social change. And so I wanted to sort of explore this question of, could a purpose for you, could you live a life of meaning through social change efforts, through working to make an impact, or specifically through the path I took, which is through nonprofit work. So in this video, I would love to share my story, how I found my purpose through nonprofit work, and then help you think through some questions that you might ask yourself to determine if nonprofit work could be for you, or perhaps some other social impact avenue to help you find your purpose. So stick around to the end, and of course don't forget to subscribe, hit that red button below, because I make weekly videos on questions like this. How can we find our purpose through helping make a difference in the world, social impact, nonprofits, leadership, and so much more. So once again, my name is Amber Melanie Smith, and I help aspiring change makers with tips and strategies to help you change the world and make a difference while living a life of impact and purpose. So to help think through this question of what is my reason for being here, and could it possibly relate to social change or specifically nonprofit work, I want to reference this beautiful concept of Ikigai, which is a Japanese concept that essentially means reason for being. This framework of Ikigai can help you think through any sort of pursuit in life, whether it could be what fulfills your passion, but specifically for a career, we want to look at 4 criteria that Ikigai challenges you to think through. So the criteria is this. First, is the activity you're thinking of doing something the world needs? Second, is it something that you're good at? Third, is it something that you love to do? And fourth, is it something that you can be compensated for so that you can make a living? The goal in using this framework of Ikigai is that if you can find something that has all 4 of this criteria, then that could be your purpose. That could be something that will not only bring you happiness, but that you can do for a living too. So a little bit about me and my background and how I came to find nonprofit work was my purpose. When I was a kid, I really struggled to think about what I was going to do when I was older. You know, you do these career tests in school, and they have you being a doctor or a lawyer or a scientist, and all of those careers sounded amazing, but not quite the right fit for me. I was this sort of awkward, artsy kid, and so I knew that at my core, I really wanted to do one specific thing, and that was somehow, some way, be a part of making a difference and changing the world. As I got older and got through high school a little bit, I stumbled upon volunteering, and I started volunteering for everything I could get my hands on. I was serving meals at the men's shelter, I was cooking at the Ronald McDonald House, I was building habitats for rescue tigers, I was doing pretty much any kind of volunteer work you could think of. And what I learned was that I loved all of the work. I couldn't pick which cause was my favorite because I loved them all. And so I found it to be a struggle to choose. I knew that I could devote all of my time and energy to learning in a field that would allow me to, for example, combat homelessness or to help the environment, but I felt so strongly about so many different causes that I didn't quite want to fixate on a single one. So what I ended up doing actually was launching my own nonprofit organization that allowed me to help all of the causes I cared about at once by recruiting volunteers to help support all of those amazing causes. And so through this, I discovered my passion for connecting people and helping them find their passion to to make an impact through so many nonprofits in my local community. But this is all still part of nonprofit work. What I love about nonprofits is that it's this wonderful structure that allows you to make a difference, and depending on, your level of expertise, potentially make a living as well. So when we're talking about finding your Ikigai or your purpose, I want to qualify that there are many, many different ways to make a difference in the world that are not necessarily part of nonprofit work. You could run for office, you could make a scientific discovery, you could run a successful business and become a philanthropist. There are many ways to make a difference in the world, and don't feel that nonprofits, just because it is the reputation of nonprofits that these are the organizations that are making a difference, that they are the only way to make a difference. But in terms of exploring the question of whether specifically working in nonprofits could be your Ikigai, I want to help you talk through a couple different questions that you can think about for yourself to figure out if it might be for you. So let's use the framework of Ikigai to break down this question. So the first part is nonprofit work, what the world needs. Nonprofit work, by its very definition and reputation, is all about tackling social problems and helping people. So if you feel drawn to social change, to helping people, it's pretty safe to check off this box that nonprofit work is addressing something the world needs. So the next part of the Ikigai framework is nonprofit work something you could love? And here's where it gets a little bit tricky, because you might love your cause, you might love your mission, but there's so much that goes into working for a nonprofit that often you might not consider. So it's important to think about, are the actual activities of the work going to be things that make you excited, make you want to go to work every day? So the actual work activities have to align with your work style and your personality. If you are in nonprofits, it is pretty much inescapable that you're going to have some involvement in fundraising. Very likely you will also have to do some public speaking. You might be doing some administrative work like accounting. You might need to be a good manager of other people. Various roles, of course, in nonprofits can have you doing different activities, but knowing the types of activities that you might be doing in a nonprofit will really help you determine if this is for you. But across a lot of common roles in nonprofits, there are some things at the core that if you love these things, it is very promising that nonprofit work could be part of a meaningful career for you. So we're talking about collaborating with other people, building and cultivating deep relationships with other people in support of a specific cause or mission. Having a little bit of flexibility, depending on the size of your organization. It could feel more like a startup or it could feel more established, but in either case, in much of nonprofit work, no days are the same. So you have to have a little bit of agility and willingness to kind of go with that flow of unexpected activity. The third part of the framework is nonprofit work something you are good at or could be good at? So I personally started out not good at a lot of this stuff, but for me, the mission, the why behind the work was so important that I taught myself a lot of this stuff to the point that now I'm pretty good at a lot of it. So if you aren't already good at some of these things, but the mission is extremely important to you, don't worry, just teach yourself, train, practice, volunteer to get that experience, and you can become good at it as well. So some things that you might need to be good at or become good at in order to excel in the nonprofit world include having a mind for business. So understanding that running a nonprofit is essentially running a business and being able to think strategically over the long term about how you're going to survive and sustain yourselves so that you can meet your mission of changing the world. Another thing you're going to have to be good at is asking people to support you. That is fundraising, that is volunteering, but not being afraid and having enough faith in your cause and in yourself that you aren't afraid to get told no every once in a while, because you know that if you keep asking different people that eventually you're going to get the yes you need in order to get the support that your cause needs. Another thing that it's really important to be good at in the nonprofit world is, though you are working within the confines of a legal structure that is nonprofits, you still have to be creative and innovative enough to see problems the way others have not seen them before. We're talking about solving very complicated social issues, and that means that we've got to think outside the box and be a little bit innovative. And in the case of nonprofits, sometimes find ways to be innovative while working within the structure that being a nonprofit affords us. A fourth thing that you've really got to be good at to excel in the nonprofit world, if that is your chosen career, is patience. Social change takes a long time. It doesn't happen overnight, and that can be hard on a lot of people. A lot of people need to see immediate, tangible results in order to stick it out, and sometimes that's not always possible in nonprofit work. So you've got to find those victories where they are and set small milestones and see the progress you're making in those small milestones, but not be afraid to have a little patience and understand that it's worth it in the long term, that you're working towards a larger goal. You've just got to be patient. So the fourth part of the Ikigai framework is nonprofit work something you can be paid for? And there are a lot of misconceptions about that. Some of my coworkers, even to this day, having worked for me for a couple of years now, still occasionally get asked how they can be paid and work for a nonprofit at the same time. So you can definitely have a paying job in nonprofits. In fact, most of the nonprofits that you encounter in your daily life, places like a museum or the YMCA or Habitat for Humanity, they have paid staff. And having that paid staff to support and manage the amazing, generous volunteers who are also supporting their cause by giving their time helps make the organization professional and helps them make a bigger impact than they could without that paid staff. So not only can you be paid to work for a nonprofit, but having paid staff is often an important part of making sure your organization can be sustainable and succeed in its mission. So if you are thinking that nonprofit work could be a meaningful career for you and you're transitioning from another industry, then there are a lot of skills that translate over, which is really awesome. So if you're great at sales, if you have experience managing people, if you have marketing experience, all of these things can also translate into the nonprofit world, and you can bring a wealth of knowledge from the business side of things to help a nonprofit that you care about run very effectively. If you are just starting out in your career and you're wondering how can you get good at something that would apply to nonprofit work to the point where you can get a paying job in nonprofits, there are a lot of opportunities to do so. A very good way of doing that would be to intern or volunteer with a cause that you care about to gain that experience and work with the managing staff at that organization to help you learn and ask key questions to get your feet on the ground at a cause that you care about. The majority of people that I have hired to work for my nonprofit organization were once interns or volunteers, and I hired them because they gained a lot of skills. They also built a relationship to the point where I knew that they understood and felt passionate about the cause, and they were an amazing hire after that. If you are still in school or going back to school, there are numerous courses out there now that can help you learn more about nonprofit work as well. Perhaps you are great with numbers and you want to have a niche in the nonprofit world that is in accounting. Well, that would be very lucrative for you. So you can take some nonprofit accounting courses. Fundraising is a very well compensated field in nonprofits. So being a skilled fundraiser can not only bring you a lot of joy and gratification, but it can help you make a great difference for your cause, and you can make quite a decent living on that as well. Whatever your current skills or interests are, if working in nonprofits is something you want to pursue, there are definitely ways to learn more and go deeper into those issues and skill sets in order to cater them to the nonprofit world. So I want to hear from you. What do you think? Do you think that nonprofit work could be part of your meaningful life? Or if not nonprofit, some other kind of social impact work? Let me know. Leave a comment below. I'd love to hear from you, hear what you're thinking about. I hope you liked this video. Don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe because once again, I'm doing weekly videos on topics like this. And also if you're on Facebook, please come and check out my Facebook group, Change the World or Bust. I'm having conversations with other change makers around the country and around the world on topics of social impact, leadership, and more every day. As always, I will include a link to that group and other resources below, so feel free to check out the description to this video. And thanks, and I hope to see you next time.